All right, today we're diving into a story that is just fascinating. We're talking about a poem, believe it or not, written over 600 years ago. But this isn't just any poem. It's basically a scientific manual for perfect sound. It's all about how you preserve a sacred text, not just the words on a page, but its exact original pronunciation generation after generation. So, let me ask you this. How can a sound, any sound, stay exactly the same for 1400 years? I mean, just think about it. Languages morph, accents totally change, words take on new meanings. So the idea of preserving the sound of an entire book, recited purely from memory, for that long, it sounds, well, impossible. But it turns out the answer lies in a system of just incredible precision. And this is the key. What you're looking at right here is the cover of that very solution, a work called the Jazariyyah. And get this. It's not a story, it's not philosophy, it's a full-on scientific treatise, but it's written in verse, like a poem. And it's the very thing that cracked the code of perfect sonic preservation.
So, to really appreciate the genius behind this poem, we have to first understand the huge challenge it was designed to solve. See, for Muslims, reciting the Quran exactly as it was revealed is absolutely central to their faith. But how do you actually do that? How do you make sure that every single person in every generation all across the world pronounces every single letter perfectly?
Well, the solution is a science called Tajweed. And this definition really gets to the core of it. We're not just talking about saying it right. No, this is a deep science of phonetics. It treats every single letter as having specific rights. Basically, its unique characteristics and a set of rules that can totally change depending on where it is in a word or what other letters are next to it.
Okay, probably the best way to wrap your head around this is with an analogy. Think of it like this. If the Quran is the song, then Tajweed is the sheet music for the voice. It tells the reciter exactly where in the mouth to make a sound, how long to hold it, if it should sound heavy or light, or if it should be nasal or clear. It is a complete, detailed instruction manual for the human voice.
But you know, a science this complex has to be taught, right? It needs to be passed down. And that's where our story takes a turn. Back in the 14th century, one of the greatest scholars in this field decided he was going to make this knowledge accessible to everyone, forever. And that brings us to the author of our poem. His name was Imam Muhammad ibn al-Jazari, and he was a true master of his time. I mean, he was the leading authority on Quranic recitation and all the different authentic ways it could be recited. And his life story is just a testament to this incredible dedication. Get this, he memorized the entire Quran by the time he was 13. By 17, he was leading prayers. Then he just traveled. He went all over the known Muslim world, Damascus, Mecca, Cairo, searching for the greatest teachers to perfect his knowledge. His entire life was literally devoted to mastering and preserving this sound. So, with all this incredible knowledge, how did he decide to pass it on? I mean, he could have written some massive, dense encyclopedia that would sit on a shelf, but instead, he did something truly brilliant. He took the entire science of Tajweed and distilled it into a short, memorable poem. And you can see his whole approach just by looking at the work itself. On one side, you've got this elegant title page, and on the other, a page from the poem. And you can see it's packed with phonetic rules, it's dense with information, but because it has this rhyming, rhythmic structure, it's just so much easier to memorize than some dry, boring textbook would ever be. So just how concise are we talking? The entire science is captured in just 107 verses. That's it. A whole field of phonetics boiled down into a poem that a dedicated student could probably memorize in a few weeks. It was just an absolute work of genius, both as a science and as a way of teaching. The poem's full title is Al-Muqaddimah al-Jazariyyah, which pretty much translates to The Introduction by al-Jazari. And the full title tells you everything. The introduction to what a reciter of the Quran must know. See that? Not should know or it's nice to know, it's must know. This wasn't some optional reading, it was the essential foundation.
And Ibn al-Jazari himself says as much right in the opening lines. He makes it crystal clear from the get-go. Before you can even think about truly reciting, you have to learn what's in this poem. He's basically setting the standard for every single student from that day forward.
So, what's actually packed into these 107 verses? Let's take a quick peek at the blueprint for the voice that Ibn al-Jazari laid out. You'll see it's incredibly systematic. Okay, so he starts with the absolute fundamentals, the exact points in your mouth and throat where each and every Arabic letter is supposed to come from. Then he moves on to their attributes. Is a letter supposed to sound sharp or soft, heavy or light? From there, he gets into how letters interact with each other. Like the sound of the letter N, for example, might be pronounced clearly, or it might be partly hidden, or it could even blend into the next letter, and it all depends on what comes after it. He even covers the rules for when to pause and when to start. Absolutely nothing was left to chance. But look, creating the perfect instruction manual was really only half the battle. The next question is, how do you make sure it survives for over 600 years without getting messed up or changed? Well, the answer lies in a system for passing it down that is, frankly, just as brilliant as the poem itself. See, the poem wasn't just printed in a book and then left for anyone to interpret however they wanted. Nope. It was passed down through something called an isnad, which is a verifiable, unbroken chain of transmission from a teacher to a student. So a student would learn the poem and its meaning directly from a certified teacher who learned it from their teacher, who learned it from their teacher, and so on all the way back in a direct line to Ibn al-Jazari himself. Every single link in that chain is known and verified. And this right here is the physical proof of that system in action. What you're seeing is a handwritten manuscript, a certificate of transmission known as an ijazah. It was passed from a teacher to their student, documenting this transfer of knowledge. It's all about direct person-to-person transmission to make sure nothing gets lost. It's basically a stunningly effective analog system for data integrity. And that really brings us to a final, pretty powerful thought. In our world, a world of fleeting digital data, we're constantly worried about file corruption, servers crashing, data rot, even deepfakes. Our most important information lives on hard drives that could be wiped out in a second. And yet here we have this 600-year-old system built on human memory, mentorship, and a verifiable chain of trust that was designed to last forever. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In our fragile digital age, what can we learn from a poem that was designed to be incorruptible?